There's the Academy Award-winning actor Gig Young, who incidentally was once a guest on the Donahue Show. Next slide. Here you are with a child. What year would that be?
64.
Next, please. Just go ahead, Brian. Please. Next. That's you, looking real. Is this, what circa here is this?
That is before this. That shows how insecure I've been all my life. I had cheekbones. I see it now. I didn't then. I just wanted to be beautiful.
And they don't inject anymore, do they?
They still do. They're not supposed to. It's not illegal, but they're not supposed to use it.
You loved the effect when you first got it, though, right?
I looked great for 2 years until my whole face started swelling. I looked like gargantua. It was so huge. I wore my hair all over my face. It was a nightmare. My eyes were swollen red.
Stick lesbianism and trying to make something that is considered very perverse.
That's the point that we were making. We were saying that it's in fact images, but whether I think the whole question of it being perverted and unnatural is absolutely, you know, open to debate. What I do agree with is that there are a small number of lesbians and gay men in this culture, but that the images are now out there, and that is probably because it's very commercial. Sarah, look at the roles on TV shows now.
Right, but let me ask you a quick question. But when you say that it's manufactured by the media, okay? Like,
I didn't say it was manufactured by the media.
That is something that's manufactured.
That's
not.
Sure.
Well, but politicians watch the media. Politicians watch the trends. So a lot of Republicans are in office to come out and purge society of all the evil in society, and gay and lesbian issues are the first people that they want to bang on the head. So it's something that's real. I mean, there are aren't there a lot of women who are trying it for the first time? And
I don't know if that's anything you can know. I think that's sort of an old kind of hokey myth. I think the fact of the matter is gay people have always existed in every history and time, and they probably always will. The Republicans can't get rid of them. The Democrats can't encourage them. It's a fact of life, and some people deal with it, and some people don't.
Look at the Greek island of Lesbos. The reason that women were sleeping with one another is because the men were sleeping with one another in Greek culture.
And also, you know, Greece is a dead society now, which is very relevant. But what I was going to point out is that any time... you see, I believe that it's part of human nature. Everyone, myself and everybody in the audience, everyone up here, everyone watching, has temptations to do perverse or immoral things, but when we shine them up and polish it,
your morality is different than mine, Jack.
I have to disagree with you on this notion that it's perverse or immoral. Is that these images that are out there perhaps are allowing people to explore areas of their sexuality that they may discard later. But why you should say that it's perverse doesn't make much sense.
Let me finish my point. My point was going to be...
No, let him go ahead.
Okay, my point was going to be that when we start telling people this is more and more acceptable, a lot of people that might have a temptation to get involved in a lifestyle like this before in society, they would say, no, I should not get involved. Now it's becoming a real popular
I think that's a really...
homophobia,
well, I think it's also just the oldest myth in the world. Anyone who's actually gone through the process of coming out to family and friends knows it's not a simple process. Some of the time it's good, and a lot of the time it's very hard. So I don't think anyone's rushing out and doing that.
No, but that makes it seem as though it's some kind of car ad.
I know at least 10 women, I could name them, but I'm not, who in the last year, either their boyfriends have asked them to bring a woman home and have sex with her in front of him, or they have actually tried it for the first time.
Herman, your point is that women might be doing it for themselves, perhaps, not they're doing it to feed a male fantasy. So that's a very kind of individual man's view. We have to wrap on this note, and when we return, why being a lesbian on college campuses is all the rage. And a little later, humor and lesbian style, when Last Call continues.
Because we groom our people for TV. And I don't think there'll ever be lesbians on TV. I'm like, no lesbians on TV? What about Wimbledon?
We're back on Last Call. Today, the media tells us it's in to be out. Lesbians are breaking down social barriers. Take a look at this scene from the recent TV movie, The Margaret Kammermeyer Story, where Glenn Close plays an army colonel with a secret.
I'm a lesbian.
You're an active lesbian?
I have an emotional... I connect emotionally to women.
Sexually?
Doesn't have anything to do with sexual activity.
Then what makes you a lesbian?
My feelings.
Well, one of the few honest and complex images of a lesbian actually telling somebody the truth. But joining us now, Keisho Scott, feminist and professor of sociology at Grinnell College in Iowa. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Keisho, what's your reaction to the clip that we've just seen?
Well, first of all, let me back up a little bit, and I got to throw out my take on these statistics around this, and that is that if we go back to the very conservative view, 1 out of every 10 people in this country are gay. That means there are 24 million gay people in this country. And what that also means is that at least half of them are women, and that there are more gay people in this country than there are, in many ways, African American women. So one of the things that I think makes being gay so powerful and so faddish, but positive faddish, is that it presents a way in which Madison Avenue responds by saying, hey, these people are young, these people got money, these people are middle class, and they represent a political force.
By the way, that 10% figure was really way off base. You know,
so I think you're pretty conservative, but the thing is that I don't think that's an image America's ready for, because it would mean political power.
See,
right?
again, we don't want to get an argument about these numbers, but when you throw out numbers like 10%, it makes it sound like this is way more prevalent than it is. One problem I had with this clip that was just shown was she said it's not about sex, it's about how I feel. Now, I'm enlightened enough to know that lesbianism is a whole lifestyle and mindset and feelings. It's not just sex, but there's nothing wrong, there's nothing illegal in any state, as I know, for a woman to say she loves a woman or a man to say he loves a man. What makes a person a homosexual is that they are prone to have sex with someone. I think even our guest from Out Magazine would agree that someone that's actually a practicing lesbian means they're involved in some kind of sexual activity. It's not just about feelings.
Yes, everyone has their own definition. What's the point in all of that?
The fact of the matter is that, I mean, as long as you want to talk about statistics, it is illegal in many states in this country to be a practicing homosexual. And so as much as we want to talk about how chic it is, well, as much as we want to talk about how chic it is, the fact of the matter is that it's not just a question of Madison Avenue, and I think what you said was very wise, but the fact is that I could still be locked up in many states in this country if I went
and it's very interesting. We mentioned Katie Lang earlier and how she'd come out. She was an image on Vanity Fair magazine. Now, in my view, whatever Madison Avenue and the media does with lesbian images hasn't made it that much easier for someone in a librarian in a small town in Kansas or someone actually to confront what Glenn Close talks about openly, awkwardly, and I'm sure it is very awkward, that we need to see more images like this of people struggling with their feelings.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. Sarah, I need to go back to you for a second. Because it seems to me that there's a reluctance on your part to accept the fact that, yes, more women are finding themselves involved in lesbian relationships.
What I want to say about that is nobody knows anything factually about this stuff.
I'm a straight male, and I meet women all the time who say they're... Go ahead.
The fact of the matter is that everyone talks as if they're an authority. Most people in this country are not informed about who's gay or who's straight or anything. There has been no audit. We can't even get the deficit figured out. How can we figure out how many gay people there are in this country? You know? Excuse me. So I don't claim one way or the other. I don't think there's any value in saying more or less. And the fact of the matter is, even if there were one black person in this country, even if there's one gay person in this country, it doesn't matter how many there are, it's that in this country, we stand up for the principle of the fact that you have rights as a person. You know what? It's not numbers. It's always, you know.
Earlier, lesbians have always existed.
It doesn't matter how many of us there are.
But the culture has somehow made it more open, that people can actually say and feel and acknowledge their gayness. Now, you have seen a number of college campuses. You are a professor at one of the most liberal colleges in this country. Has it become a fad, or are young women really much more experimental and open about lesbianism these days?
The title of this show, Is Lesbianism a Fad? Suggests that it is negative. And what I am arguing that as a fad, I'm talking about a political force. I think there are more women that are coming out because more women, in the ways in which challenging and not allowing gay people to have civil rights in this country is about challenging heterosexism. Yeah. And wait a minute. Now, you've cut me off enough. Let me finish, okay?
I haven't cut you off yet on this show.
Wait a minute. I haven't had a chance to talk, okay?
Got the wrong guy.
But let me say this. I think what's really positive and really powerful in terms of this 24 million gay people, potentially 12 million lesbian in this country, is that we now see how the issues of heterosexism, which is really about the privilege for straight people.
No, you're afraid. What I hear is that you're afraid. What I hear is that you're afraid. What I hear is that both of you are afraid to admit. You're both afraid to. Wait a minute. Hold on for a second, because you're going to go on about, but you're missing the point of this whole thing. You're afraid
It is-
to mention. You're afraid to say that women are more into this because
I'm not
women,
afraid to say anything,
lesbians
buddy.
get into
Wait,
bed.
wait,
Lesbians get into bidding wars about who's more lesbian than the other person.
You started this program talking about, isn't it frightening that women are going over?
I didn't say frightening. I said Cindy Crawford going over. That frightens me. I love Cindy Crawford.
I don't think
It frightens me that Cindy Crawford would go
Herman,
over.
I don't think that Sarah
I'm not
or
reluctant to say
Keisho
anything.
has
I'm
sounded
not pretending to be
afraid
Victoria.
about
I'm
acknowledging that
specific
women
about
want to
her.
have
But I'm
sex with
telling
one
you,
another at all.
your
No,
point of
you
view
are. No,
is
I'm
your-
sorry. I'm
Sir,
hearing
let's
a
get past
political
this.
correctness.
I don't know what you're hearing over there, but
I'm hearing political
back off a
correctness.
moment.
It's like don't
Just
don't
back off a
try
moment.
to say
This
things for
this
us,
plays
for our
into
community
something,
that
Herman, that
You don't know what you're talking about. You're
Hold
so
it.
hung up on your girlfriend being stolen by a woman.
Just-
that
My
you're trying to
girlfriend
put
was never stolen
statistics.
by a woman.
No, but you-
My girlfriend was never stolen by a
I don't
woman.
want to steal
And
your
that's the only way that you can come
I don't
back
want to
is
steal
to
your
try to
girlfriend.
insult.
I don't want to steal your
Right.
girlfriend, and that's not the point here. It doesn't matter how many or who's counting.
Right.
Let's not get hung up on the numbers. What we're talking about is a basic existence, and you're so hung up on how many and how many more there are than before. It's like a size thing. Forget the size of
It's
it.
not a
But,
size
you know,
thing.
Listen,
Wait,
it's
wait,
very interesting.
let
It
me
seems
add
to be
one
that this
last
is
comment in.
divided into two camps. That there really is a male fear about lesbians, about whatever they want to acknowledge, and Herman seems to be kind of terribly upset about it, which is
No.
very interesting, but we'll have to go out on that. Thank you all. And when we return, coming out with laughs, lesbian comic Leah Delaria will be with us.
When I came out to my parents, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I did the good gay thing. Mom, Dad, I'm gay. They didn't do it, the really good Italian thing, the screaming, the fighting, the yelling, the throwing things, and then they forgot about it.
Welcome back to Last Call. I'm Sue Ellicott. Tonight we've been talking about lesbians coming out of the closet and into the mainstream. With us on satellite from Los Angeles is the lesbian stand-up comic Leah Delaria. Welcome. Okay, Leah, you were really kind of at the forefront of breaking down barriers by being the first lesbian stand-up comic on mainstream TV. Do you think it really has become easier for lesbians to be that public or, you know, that comic?
That would be the harder question, whether or not it's easier for lesbians to be comic. The whole show today has just been making me crazy, I have to tell you. I just think that this idea that it's somehow easier now to be gay is so wrong. We have fought for 25 years to come to a place where we can now somewhat open our mouths and say, yo, I'm queer, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No,
said that
clearly,
it's
'cause
easy?
otherwise
It's not easy. It's not been handed to us on the platter.
Who said that it was easy, Leah?
You're saying, is it this
I didn't say
idea
it
that
was
this,
easy. I said that aren't more women going across and experimenting with
you know
lesbianism.
what? I really have to call you on that. I think that no matter who, I think that when someone looks at me and says, you know, Leah, did you have sex with a man when you were a teenager? My head just goes, you know, don't
Would you have
remind
sex
me.
with a Would you have sex with a straight
Leah,
woman? Would you
I
have sex
happen
with a
to
straight
be-
woman who wanted to try it, Leah? Would you have sex with a straight woman who wanted to
Are
try
you
it for
kidding?
a night?
Are you kidding?
Would you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very
Right
much.
here. There's somebody out there that says that
You know,
it's
and I
now
think
hip
maybe
on
even
college
with a black
camp.
straight man who wanted to try it with a lesbian woman. How about that?
Well, actually, a lot of lesbians tend to have black men before they realize that they're lesbian because they think it's the same thing.
Hello.
But
Damn.
Well, I'm not sure what we're tapping into
What was
there,
that
but
about? Wait a minute. What was that
that's
about? Like,
scary.
explain that one.
it was an inside queer joke. And
But
for
you know-
any dykes in the audience, they got it.
But you
Very
know,
nice.
one thing that's interesting is there are so many jokes about lesbians, as there are about all strong women. I mean, it just seems that this whole sort of designer dyke, lipstick lesbian chic idea is one other myth, which is just
You know,
as
sorry.
bad as the whole hairy armpit dyke, bull dyke crowd. I mean, where are we going with this
And
lipstick
Leah, you don't
stuff?
fit in with the lipstick lesbian type,
wait a
right?
minute. Susan, first of all, lipstick lesbians were not created by Madison Avenue. I can show you a button that I have from 1982 that says I am a lipstick lesbian.
You are wearing lipstick,
it wasn't,
Leah, I can tell.
It wasn't my button. It was the woman I was sleeping with because I've been butch since day one, okay? But we started lipstick. We've had lipstick lesbians in our community forever. Suddenly, Madison Avenue kind of jumped on it, if you know what I mean. And there is a certain amount of marginalizing that happens around this whole thing, this lesbian chic thing. You know, they always say lesbian chic started by Madonna. Well, you know, excuse me, but could we have a lesbian start lesbian chic?
Right.
I mean, is this too much to ask for? How marginalized are we that we can't even have a lesbian start our chic? you
because
know?
lesbians aren't in control of your own publicity. Again, it comes back down to the male-dominated media who enjoy seeing two women together, and they want Madonna to be a lesbian. They want Cindy Crawford to be a lesbian,
But
right?
I think that's wrong. I don't think that.
I want Madonna and Cindy Crawford to be a lesbian.
Okay, let's take up Herman's point. Leah,
Right here!
Leah, do you really think that what you're doing has anything to do with, like, male manipulation, which is what Herman is suggesting?
First of all, I like that you said male manipulation to a lesbian. That's
I like
first
that.
of all. Yeah, that really, that has
Male
completely made my
manipulation.
day. And now I've forgotten the question. The whole male manipulation.
Well,
just,
anyway, we'll leave it at that. We love your lipstick, Leah. Thanks for joining.
You are welcome to try my lipstick anytime.
Oh,
Hello,
great.
hello.
Well,
Right
hey,
here for you.
I'll see you in the break. Or when we come back, the latest on OJ from Mother Love.
Imagine the police officer going in O.J. Simpson's home. I'll tell you.
Here, he formed his own dance company in 1970. It was then called Bottom of the Bucket Butt because he knew it was coming up. It is now called Garth Fagan Dance. In the meantime, he earned a B.A. from Wayne State University, and he studied dance with a number of people, including Martha Graham, Jose Lemon, Mary Hinkson, and Alvin Ailey. He has a performance on Dance in America on February 22nd on PBS at 10 p.m. It is called Griot, New York.
Absolutely.
And I am pleased to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Among other reasons, my friend Wynton Marsalis is there, is part of this performance, yes?
Yes.
His music is...
His music, he composed it, played it, and the performance.
Yeah.
And,
And who's the sculptor?
Martin Puryear.
Yeah.
Martin Puryear.
Tell me about this dance.
Well, I wanted to give a more positive image of New York. Everybody's always down in New York. So the dance is in 8 sections. There are 7 very positive sections dealing with the multicultural nature of New York, dealing with the immigrants who came here. And there's one section, the disenfranchised, which deals with the homelessness, AIDS, slavery, the Holocaust, all the negative things that we've dumped on mankind through the years. But it really is an upbeat, healing, unifying piece.
What's unique in your judgment, and what do you hope is unique about your company and what it brings to the dance stage?
It brings to contemporary dance African and Caribbean movement in the dance vocabulary itself, not the rituals in straw or fabric that we're accustomed to seeing from African companies or Caribbean companies, but just the basic movement, the use of the torso, the use of polyrhythms, I mean true polyrhythms. My dancers will have 7, 8 rhythms going on at one time in one body. Volume or mass in movement, and a non-linear sense of choreography.
What do you look for in young dancers?
Intelligence, intelligence. Technique, happily I can say we have lots of dancers with very strong techniques. But dancers with that intelligence who can understand what I'm going for intellectually and can understand what has happened before us in history, so they can give it more nuance, more dimension, and more color.
Yeah. Is Griot, is it the storyteller or the story in African?
The storyteller is the griot.
He's the griot.
He is the griot, and he keeps the culture, the history of a people and the culture of people alive through music, dance, poetry, drama, what have you. And they also are very nonlinear in how they present it. The chronological time is not important. It's the weight or the value that they give to what happened.
Why'd you become a choreographer?
Because I wanted to see on the stage something that wasn't there. Sounds like an ego trip, it's not. But I studied with the best, you named them all at the top of the program. But I wanted to see this simple way of moving. I wanted to see people dancing as opposed to dancers trying to portray people. And it's a very clear distinction once you see just human beings dancing as opposed to dancers trying to be a mother or father or what have you. And I wanted to see more torso movement and dancers and dances that were very proud of their culture. And we're a multicultural company. Very proud of their culture and very open and free. None of the negative stereotypes you see on commercial TV about people of color.
Yeah. How did Wynton's music inspire this piece?
Immensely, immensely. I've been a big fan of Wynton for years. We're friends with him and his family. And the music was such strong underpinnings for the piece. And we agree about polyrhythms, we agree about Ellington, we agree about a lot of things. And he understands both classical and jazz music very well. As you know, he's won Grammys in both. So it was a great help. It's the material on which a lot of the piece is built.
Yeah. Now, did you have to wait for the music?
Oh, yes. Yes, we had to wait for the music. Wynton was extremely busy.
Yeah.
He was calling me on the phone and playing tunes and riffs from Vienna, from Hong Kong, from wherever he was. We were also touring the world. So it was not the kind of collaboration where we sat in a room and got it done.
Did this begin in Ocho Rios in Jamaica?
Yes.
That's where you began to start
thinking about it, yeah. I went home, visited my home, Jamaica, sat on the beach and decided what I wanted to do. Because I'd made Liz Thompson a promise that I was going to do this dance. And that's where it really came together.
Does television do dance well?
Not as well as live performances, because dance is three-dimensional and television is two-dimensional. But I'm extremely proud of this production, not because it's mine, but because Margaret Selby, producer, Matthew Diamond, director, and Garish Bhargava, the editor, worked so hard at getting it as alive and as live-looking a performance as you could imagine.
Yeah. And what's next for you after this? Are we already at work on another?
Oh, yeah. Well, we go to Australia next week, and we perform in Perth and Sydney, I think it is. And then I'm working on a piece with Don Pulling about Native American culture, and we're going to premiere that in Montana. And then the end of the year, this is our 25th anniversary, so I have a major piece that I'm doing for that.
It's great to have you on this broadcast. Let me just make note of the fact that on February 20th, for New York people in the New York audience, it'll be on at 9 p.m. here on Channel 13 in New York. Otherwise, across America on PBS, February 22nd at 10 p.m. on PBS, Dance in America, Garth Fagan's Griot, New York. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's a pleasure to have you here to watch now a celebration of what you will see, a preview of what you will see on PBS on February 22nd. Again, my thanks to Garth, my thanks to Wynn Lord and others talking about China, as well as Robert Morgenthau talking about the death penalty as New York State prepares to restore it. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.